everyone, this is Matt here with Ron on another edition to Ask Ron. Ron, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm good. I'm ready.
All right, that's what I like to hear.
You got some hard questions this week?
I got some tough questions and I got quite a few questions this week for you.
Okay, I don't like those easy ones. They don't make me think enough.
All right, well, let's start with Edgar Alexandre from Florida.
Okay.
Edgar says, hi Ron, let's say I buy a property on a wrap and the seller dies. How am I going to get that line cleared?
Well, you don't need to worry about it until that loan is getting ready to get paid off and you need a satisfaction of that mortgage. So you're going to have to send that to the heir, whoever inherited that property, which is probably the spouse. And title company will probably want a copy of the death certificate as well.
Nice. All right.
Spouse.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next one, we have James from Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
James says, how do I test the market for which I live in, if any, and what is the best strategy going to find for this area? As a background, I live in Westminster, Colorado, just north of Denver. The houses out here are highly priced, even for smaller homes, and even the ugliest ones sell within weeks.
Yeah. Well, James, I'm not sure what you mean. How do I test? I am sure you're convinced that your city is different and there's nothing like it out there in the rest of the country, because I hear that so much. It is not. Your prices are high. That is a good thing for you. It is a hot market. That is a good thing for you. Please don't think you're the only one. Okay, they're all over the country. So what you do is get in the business and do the same things that I would do here in Jacksonville, Florida, or someone would do in Southern California or Connecticut or anywhere else. We first generate leads, and I got a whole bunch of training right on the Gold Club website for that. And I got a whole 3-day event that we just taped, which is really incredible. Nothing but generating leads to find seller. And then you process those leads. Our VAs will call and get the property information sheets filled out. Then you make one closing call, which takes 2 or 3 minutes following my script. Do not think for 1 minute and do not let anybody out there tell you that people won't take terms in Colorado where you're at. It's absolutely not true. They will take terms, but they are the minority. They're not the majority. So your job is to screen out the dead wood quickly and get to the ones who really need your services. And I'll also tell you that the more sellers you can get calling you, the more motivated they are and the easier they are to do business with and the less leads you have to work. The leads we provide on our Gold Club are leads that are posted on the internet, and our service that we pay handsomely for scours 2,000 websites a day to provide you with those leads in your 2 counties. But I will tell you, they are the lowest common denominator of leads. They are the least productive because they plastered their ads on the internet and you're chasing them. They're not calling you until we make them call us. However, after saying that, the last boot camp, the 4-day quick start school that we did virtually, we did 17 deals in 3 days, 17 deals where students sent in leads. By the way, 3 of those were over $1 million. 3 of them were over $1 million deals. And 2 of those were nothing down, okay? And that's in 3 days. Now, 3 days to get them called and negotiated, but, and then the boot camp prior to that, we did 23 deals from all over the country and from many places where people keep saying, well, nobody will do terms here. Listen, that is fake news. They do terms at every single city in the country. Wherever people have houses for sale and other people live and want to buy, there's always people who are going to do business with terms and in the ugly house business. But I'm telling you, I favor the terms business, man, especially in the higher priced houses where you're at. I'll take $1 million house any day over a $200,000 house for very good reasons. Much higher deposit when I put tenant buyer in, much bigger monthly spread, much more depreciation, easier to get much more equity. My depreciation is huge. All those benefits you get when you're in the pretty house business and keep the asset instead of just trying to flip it and get a quick check and pay maximum taxes on it. So higher prices the better as far as I'm concerned, especially in markets where the whole market is conditioned that they have to pay the higher price. So now it's just a matter of finding sellers, regardless of what price range they're in, making sure you understand how to operate without risk on your part and get the machine going and keep it going, polish it and get good at it. Next thing you know, you'll have more deals than you know what to do with. But I'm telling you, if you listen to all the folks who aren't doing terms or who tried it for a week and then quit, you're not going to get anywhere. Don't listen to the morons, man. Listen to more Ron. Oh, that's my wife calling right there. I want some bread or something, you know. All right. Go ahead.
All right. Sounds like James got his answer.
Yeah, probably more than he wanted.
That's even better. All right. Moving on to the next question, we have Purtis from Texas. Purtis says, "Hi, Ron. I'm awaiting your Dallas attorney contact to update us on a seller finance, lease options, and subject to laws. I've been searching for these answers since I've joined Planet Ron 3 months ago.
Okay.
Where else could I find these answers? I really
All right, well, the Dallas attorney's name for all of you is Scott Horn, and he's in Dallas. Shouldn't be hard to find. I can't give you his number right now, but it's probably up on the website by now. But
it is.
There's Google, okay. Good guy. Talked to him for an hour, and he can enlighten you on anything different in Texas. I'm going to tell you right now, he's still not going to advocate you lease optioning houses out and getting non-refundable option deposits, but there are a few things that he could teach you. I'm going to get him on a podcast here pretty soon, but if you need something urgent about a particular deal, you can go ahead and call him, but don't just call him asking him a bunch of questions that you don't even need the answers to right now. If you can wait for the podcast, I'll make sure I get all those answers for you so you won't have any questions left. But if you got a deal, call him. That's what he's for. And he can close anywhere in Texas.
Perfect. And Ron, like you said, that information is on the Gold Club as well. So it can be found there. All right. Moving on to the next one, we have Mike Thomas. And Mike says, when buying on a wrap, how do you handle the insurance when it's escrowed with the buyer's payment when the deal closes? I'm assuming I would get insurance paid for the first year.
Yes.
If the bank
remember to tell me what state you're in, okay? Sometimes the state has to do with my answer, all right? In your case, it doesn't. The answer is step by step. You need to buy a policy for a year and pay for it for a year, but it's a non-owner occupied policy, all right? Which is a lot cheaper than the seller's policy, which is an owner occupied policy. Your policy doesn't cover the furniture and all that other stuff, okay? We use NREIG. Don't ask me what that stands for. Look it up. It's on our website. It's on the Gold Club, NREIG. And they cut my premiums way down. They'll insure anywhere in the country. They'll only insure non-owner occupied, not your home. Worth checking out. By the way, they don't care what name is on the title either. It makes no difference to them. So here's what you do. You get a policy. You got to get it paid for. You got to get it the day you buy or before, because technically, if you buy a house and you leave the seller's policy in effect, just so he'll know, you have a fire the next day and the insurance company finds out that seller don't own the house anymore, they can easily wiggle out of paying for that claim because their insured doesn't even own the house anymore. All right. Now, you got to get that policy the day you close. But remember, the old policy will still be in effect. So I would ask the insurance agent if he could get this policy to the lender. Of course, you got to provide him the information and the loan number and all of that. And then ask them to ask the lender to cancel the old policy. Now, sometimes they'll do it. Sometimes they won't. Sometimes the lender will do it. Sometimes the lender won't. So if the lender does it, cool, but it's up to you to follow up and make sure it gets done, because if it doesn't, there's going to be 2 insurance policies on the property, and the one that the seller had on it is totally worthless. Nobody's going to get paid if there's a claim, but you're paying for that policy. And that's exactly what's going to happen if you don't follow up. You got to follow up and make sure that policy got canceled. So if your insurance agent can make it happen, that's good, but prove it. Now, if they can't make it happen, then the seller has got to contact the lender and ask them to cancel it, but only after you know they got the new policy from your insurance company. They won't cancel it until you do. But again, make sure you follow up and know that it's canceled, or the next thing you're going to know, you're going to be paying double insurance for no reason whatsoever. And you won't even know it for a while. So, like it'll be next year before you even hear about it. So you just wasted quite a bit of money. I hope you follow that.
No, I think you got it. And then one more time, what was that insurance company that you recommended?
NREIG. Sure, they won't be hard to Google. I know, but I don't have the phone number. I know it's on Gold Club somewhere, but it'd be easier just to Google them.
All right, perfect. All right, and then we
What's the name?
have,
I think that stands for National Real Estate Insurance Group.
that sounds good to me.
Sounds good. I just made it up, but I think that's what it stands for. All right.
All right, good deal. Moving on to the next one, we have Katrina from Nevada. Katrina has 3 questions here.
Good.
I'll start with the first one. She says, I have a seller that is going to provide owner financing. At closing, the title will transfer to me, but the deed of trust stays in his name. Does the seller report the sale on his tax returns this year? And will this be a trigger to a current line holder to call the loan because of the due sales clause?
All right. First of all, you're a little confused. The deed of trust, the title does not stay in the seller's name. A deed of trust means that somebody, you have a trustee, you have 3 parties to a deed of trust, but make no mistake, the seller has sold the property. It's a legal binding sale and the title is not in the seller's name. You might be thinking of some sort of a land contract. So let's make sure you understand which is which. On a land contract, the deed stays in the seller's name, but still ownership transfers to the buyer, just as legally as it did if the deed transferred. So a land contract, the loan must be paid up before the seller's obligated to transfer the deed. Now, that takes care of that. You told me it was a deed of trust, so therefore the deed does transfer. Now, what was the second part of that question? I forgot.
It was a long one. Does the seller report the sale on his tax returns this year?
Yes. Okay. Remember, it is their home, so there's no tax consequences for the seller anyway, but they will report that as a sale because it is a sale, and you will take it in as a purchase on your return as well.
All right. And now, will that be a trigger to the current line holder to call the loan?
No. The lender is not going to, I can't promise you they won't, but look, everybody's running around thinking that lenders are just waiting for an opportunity to pounce on people and call a loan due. Okay, you guys need to understand that is the last thing in the world a lender wants to do. They do everything they can. They bend over backwards not to turn the properties that are current into defaulted properties. Do a little bit of studying and find out what a defaulted property does to the bank's ability to lend money and answer to the government. If their default rate gets too high, government's going to make them sell. They hate defaulted properties. They have no reason to call the loan due as long as the payments are being made and they don't have any, like somebody tells them the house being destroyed or whatever. They have no reason. Plus, there's case law that says if they accept payments for a while, they really can't call it due because they're not in harm's way. So quit worrying about what the lender is going to do. Besides, I'm not going to tell them just because they got a new insurance policy does not mean that there's some department that's watching that every day, just waiting to call a loan due because that's what their job is. There is no such department. And usually people who handle the insurance in a totally different state than the rest of they're all over the place. So the right hand don't know what the left hand's doing anyway. Now, after saying all of that, when you buy a house, you're supposed to get my CYA letter signed anyway, and the seller acknowledges that the lender could call a loan due. You better be getting that initialed and signed, all right? So if they did call the due, it's not going to hurt you personally. It's not going to affect you. It's not your loan. It's not on your credit report. And if there's ever a lawsuit, you're not going to be sued. You're buying it in a land trust. The owner is the only one that's going to be sued. Your name's never going to come into it. You did nothing wrong. You've disclosed to the seller that the loan could be called due. If by some fluke it were called due, you're going to work it out anyway, because I'm telling you right now, the lender does not want that property. So there's plenty of ways to stop them, right down to countersuing them if necessary, but you'll probably never have to do that as well. Quit worrying about banks. Go get deals.
All right. And the second part of her question is this an installment sale for the seller?
If you buy it on a wraparound mortgage or deed of trust, yes, it is. And the seller will pay taxes, but only on the interest that they receive. And they will, let's see, if it's their home though, they will not pay any taxes on the principal.
All right. And then the last part of her question, this is a separate question. If I have a seller with a high-end property and there aren't good comps, who should pay for the appraisal, me or the seller?
You should pay for the appraisal, because I don't even want the seller ordering it, because I don't trust any appraisal they order. And I don't trust any appraisal they've already got that they hand to me. I have no idea what went on behind the scenes. And I'm telling you, I've been burned on that one. I'm never going to trust a seller's appraisal on any kind of property, residential or commercial. But it's very difficult for me to believe that you cannot find decent comps, even if they're not, really, really, really close and so forth. I would probably get the help of a real estate agent and let them do it. They've been around a while, but if you can't, you can't. But don't order an appraisal until you get under contract. We don't spend money on houses we don't have under contract. And then if you're still worried, it's a high-end house, I might suggest you order an appraisal anyway. So you know what you got, you know what the value is. And plus the appraisal's got a lot of good facts on it that you can use when you sell a house. It's worth a few $100s it costs to get the appraisal. But only after you get a contract and only after you've had a title search done to know you don't have any title issues.
Awesome. All right, that's it for Katrina. We have 2 from Mary Ann, and I think that's it. So her first question is, Ron, I have spoke with the seller for a possible terms deal for a free and clear property, and he said the property was a multifamily zone R3. So my question is whether I can lease option to a tenant buyer as a single family residence, or do I have to lease option it as a multifamily residence?
Well, Mary Ann, you can do either one, but might be a little hard pressed finding a single tenant for a triplex that wants to use the whole thing. I'm not saying you can't, but they have to be in a very small minority. You can also lease it to one person and master lease it to them and make them responsible for the other 2 units. They got to have a reason to do that. They got to, maybe they're just going to live there free is what it amounts to, if that math makes sense. But either one of those, you got a small number of people that will take them. So when you buy this property, prepare yourself that it might take a while to get somebody in that you want in it. I mean, worst case, you put 3 tenants in it if it's vacant. If it comes with the tenants, just keep collecting rent and don't worry about it. I want you to make sure, though, that positive cash flow is there. And I mean positive, Mary Ann. Don't be thinking that the difference between the payment and the rent is all yours. It just is not the case. Put in all those other expenses too, including a vacancy and a reserve factor and taxes and the insurance and repairs, because the problem with a triplex is you're responsible for the repairs. And there is no triplex on the planet where you're not going to have repairs. And some people who buy triplexes are even responsible for paying like the water. If you're paying the water for 3 tenants, oh man, that just takes the air right out of my balloon, because I've done that multiple times and I didn't like any of them, because you have no control over your water bill. And if you happen to, you probably got 3 electric meters, but if you don't, tell you the truth, if that thing doesn't have 3 electric meters, I wouldn't buy it. I'm telling you, I wouldn't buy it unless it makes mathematical sense to convert it to 3 electrical meters. So I'd like to have 3 water meters and 3 electric meters, so I pay no utilities. And then if they don't pay, it's up to them. But if you're responsible for them, your utilities are going to be much higher than you think they are, and probably much higher than reported on the seller's statement. So get all the expenses. Get the seller's tax returns. Get the seller's tax returns and carefully look at them for the last couple of years and find out what their expenses are and see if they make sense, because they probably will not have any management in them. And of course, they don't have a vacancy factor in them. In your case, 1 vacancy is 1/3 of the entire property. So make sure you have a good positive cash flow, or don't buy this triplex. That's my advice.
All right. Now, if she did purchase this triplex, would there be any special way that she should market it?
Hey, we got Matt here. Okay. All right. Hey, Matt, you hear me? Matt?
Hello. Hey, guys. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Well, hey, hold on just a minute, because I'm answering questions, and when I'm done, I'm going to come right back to you. All right?
I'll give my lecture. All right, guys.
Hey, we're accomplishing 2 birds with 1 stone here.
Let's do it. Thank you.
All right. Go ahead, Matt.
All right. So if there were any way, or if Mary Ann were to purchase this triplex, would there be any special way that she should market it?
You have to market it. I mean, you're going to use different words. Of course, your ad's going to be different, but you're going to use all of the same tools you would use otherwise, all the social media and probably some paid Facebook ads. And of course, plenty of signs. No, not really. You just have to make sure everybody knows. If you're trying to market the whole thing, and you got to create language that'll make sure when I'm reading that ad, I know I can sublease it. And frankly, living there free in one unit is attractive, and that might just attract somebody to it. But remember, they're responsible. You got to make sure you understand they get the proper documents. They are responsible for the whole rent, period, not the one rent they're living in. And if they're okay to take that responsibility, then you better say to yourself, okay, why are they going to do that? Of course, the answer is math. And again, if two tenants in the property will be enough to pay you so they can live there free, that makes it a lot easier to get somebody interested.
All right, Ron, I think that's all we have for today.
All right. Okay, guys. Hey, I want you to keep your eyes on our emails now, because we got a live Quick Start School coming up in December, and it is going to be in Amelia Island, Florida, on a resort area here up north of Jacksonville. Really, really cool place. We're going to be on the ocean, and we got some really special things working. So that's going to be our first live event since February, I think. And if you want in, you're going to have to get in, because that one will fill up. So go to our website and take a look at it. And then we got a virtual coming up here in November, followed by the live in December. Hey, you get to do them both for the price of one. All right. We'll see you next week. Same time, same channel.
All right. Thanks, Ron.
Okay.